done research in all the different types of relationships that's out there, because most of us start out as very monogamous, in which then when one person wants to open up or one person wants a deep relationship, that's what starts to cause the issues or the discomfort in a relationship.
Yeah.
The disconnect.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, kind of circling back to the idea of doing it under duress is one person is like adamant that this is the only way. And I think another thing that I think is common is this idea that, we've talked about it on here, identity versus lifestyle. Like I'm choosing to be poly versus, no, this is my identity. And, using that can also be like weaponized, right? In this scenario, like, no, this is who I am. You can't hold me back. But I think what we see often is people weaponizing that and saying, no, this is my identity. And if you don't allow me to be with multiple people, then it's kind of like an ultimatum, or you're not allowing me to express myself. But it's being weaponized at that point, which, we have to reiterate on the show, like Kelly always does, is that monogamy is a choice, and it is a valid choice, right? If that's what you want, then don't force yourself to try something else, because it probably won't work. It's hard enough for people that want this, and if you don't want it, it's probably not going to work. It's not going to be good for you, right? So getting clear for those monopoly folks, like, are you really okay if you're monogamous that your partner is poly? Because if you're not, then that's going to be an issue.
Yeah. So I think that does bring us back to the topic is under duress, and that can come across several different ways. It's like you said, like Wayne and Melissa did it together. Sometimes someone comes home and is like, hey, I've done some soul searching and I've talked with my therapist and I really believe this is my identity. Like there are different ways that it can be introduced, and that can be a shock to someone. And so, I can see how people would say, well, if this is the only way to save my relationship, maybe we do need to try it. But it's like you always say, Mo, closing it sounds real simple, but it's very complicated at that point. There are feelings involved, there are other people involved, information has come to light. And so I don't know, when you say under duress, do you feel like you're talking more about the people that like are kind of blindsided by it and just scramble and say yes to stay in, or kind of how are you thinking that this gets introduced typically?
You on the other end, like you said, your client had done other work for a year, and I've seen that happen many times, like where the other client or the other partner is like kind of not into it, but then they do all this work and then they're like, okay, and they end up finding a different type.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Great. Okay, Kama, no problem. Just text me when you're ready, period. I'm at home.